So the taboo is lifting. This is very much the case. The taboo is lifting. More and more people who have never talked about this topic are talking about it. And that's exciting. UFOs are real is pretty much the new baseline, right? With the New York Times articles that have come out over the last 3 years, what's coming down the pipe, kind of like where this is headed, is crash retrievals. And I just mean in the mainstream conversation, because with the New York Times most recent piece, they have 3 people going on record saying crash retrievals, i.e. off-world vehicles not made of this earth, end of quote. We're in a meta crisis. Like we have never, as a planetary civilization, been dealing with so many major crises at the same time. We have geopolitical crises, financial crises, health crises, educational crises. Like we are overwhelmed. And this is interesting because it's almost like the UFO thing is showing up on, kind of in the mainstream, but there's so many other major things grabbing our attention that like, we're not even noticing the UFO thing, right? It's like, a lot of people aren't even paying attention to it because there's so many other demanding issues, but it's kind of, Pandora's box has been open. And so this is the context in which disclosure is happening. And I think that's important to realize that because it's not going to be a clean, easy affair. Like there's going to be a lot of fighting. There's going to be, the UFO field is just riddled with turf wars, right? So soon we're going to have a base on the moon. Soon we're going to be terraforming Mars. Soon we're going to be going beyond that. Within the next decade, it seems very likely we're going to have Earth humans stationed semi-permanently outside of Earth's orbit. And so we're becoming, and I don't just mean the International Space Station, I mean on the moon and Mars and beyond. So we're becoming a multi-planet species. That once that starts to happen, that's going to radically change our self-understanding as a humanity, right? And so that's a big one. And I think of it as in some ways equivalent to when the first picture of the Earth was taken from the moon and that came back to us and we could see the Earth as an object floating in the black void of space. The impact that had on our consciousness as a global civilization, I think something similar is going to happen when we touch down on Mars, for instance, and there's a crew of people who are staying there for the long haul, right? It's gonna really shift our sense of who we are as a human species. The other thing that's a little farther out than that, but is already here, but we're waking up to it more and more, is we're also becoming a multi-species planet. We're already a multi-species planet, but we're realizing and recognizing that, and we'll be coming into terms with that. So those are 2 big things. And a big part of my background is studying the evolution of consciousness. Like how do we move from egocentric to ethnocentric, kind of tribe-based, or community-based, to sociocentric, which is more like kind of nation state-based or, a larger sense of community, to world-centric, which is really identifying with the whole planet and all of humanity. The next natural progression is galactic-centric. We've been in the space age. We're going to be entering the time age, right? We're going to be entering into a much deeper inquiry and understanding of the complexities of time, right? And so we're going to move out of the space age or integrate it with the time age. And I think we have a lot to learn about time. I think it's a much more wide than we realize. By developing our cultural, our subtle senses, it allows us to cultivate self-gnosis, right? It allows us to develop the discerning capacities to know that something's real, regardless of whether or not the external culture around us is validating it for us.